So picture this. I'm in 2nd grade, and my teacher says that we're going on a field trip. It's to the aquarium, and I'm really excited, as I am with all field trips, and I asked my parents to go. They gladly accept. They're always excited to go on field trips with me, and so the day of the field trip, we all meet in our classroom, and my teacher's handing out stickers. These stickers have different animals on them, and they are to put us in assigned groups. So I see my friend get a sea turtle sticker, and I hope, oh, I hope I'm in the sea turtles. And then I see another friend get a dolphin, I'm like, oh, I hope I'm in the dolphins. But then my teacher comes by with this strange looking animal on a sticker. And she puts a sticker on my chest. The animal is a manatee, a big fat sea cow. I was so angry. I did not know what to do with myself. I wanted to be in the turtle or dolphin group. My mom was so excited for me, and she says, Allie, you're in the manatee group. I was not excited at all. I kind of threw a fit, and my mom pinched me and told me to behave. I behaved on the bus ride all the way to the aquarium, and as soon as I saw the animals, I was super excited. We ran around, and I looked at the fish, and I saw the dolphins, and I saw the sharks. But then my mom said, Alex, I think it's time you and your group go see the manatees. I threw a fit again, being the little spoiled brat I was at the time. I did not want to see the manatees. I wanted to go look at the other animals. I was angry I was in that group. I wanted to be with my friends. But then we went to the manatees, of course, because I listened to Mommy. And I kind of just fell in love. I look at the manatees, and it was that instant love of the creature that I had never seen before in person. And that's kind of how I started my journey and my love of marine life. Hi, I'm Alex Hahn, and this year in ISM, I'm studying marine biology. So, as a part of the program, we had to go on several informational interviews. My first interview was with Dr. Benjamin Newman. He was the head of biology at Texas A&M Texarkana. He was super cool. The reason I reached out to him initially was just because he was the head of biology, and I know that I'm going to have to take several biology courses in order to get into the career path that I want to be in. So he specializes in fossils and viruses, and many of the fossils that we have recovered are marine because at one point most of the earth was completely ocean. So he showed me snails and all different kinds of crazy things. He had megalodon teeth, and it was a really cool experience with him. But the thing that I took away mainly was that sometimes what you love can change, and that's okay. My next one was with Chris Robeson, and he's the president of Bioaquatic Testing. So basically, his company tests water for other companies and big industrial plants because they dump their chemicals typically into water surrounding them, and he does all their cool testing to make sure that the environment and most importantly the aquatic life isn't harmed. So this interview was super cool because I got to tour the whole facility. Another interview was at the same facility with Christina Henderson, and she's the quality assurance manager there. She handles the numbers, so she's the statistics girl. She writes reports, she sends them out, she takes the data, and she basically reports back to companies. And so that's something that I'm definitely going to be doing a lot in the field of marine biology. So my research was long and hard because the ocean is so vast. I had to get a grasp on how large the ocean was, the amount of creatures that we know. There's millions of creatures that we know, but still millions and millions and millions that we have not discovered yet. So I did a lot of research on that. I know that I want my area of specialties to be marine mammals. And so I did a lot of information about about whales, which I love particularly, and of course dolphins. So what I figured out throughout my research was that we are on the brink of the world's 6th mass extinction, which is super scary. And what's even scarier about this is that the first to go is going to be marine mammals, of course, what I want to specialize in. So I did more research on that, and I knew that for my original work, I was going to do something to help conservation of marine mammals. So then I found my mentor. She was my fourth interview, and basically as soon as I met her, I knew that that was it. She was going to be my mentor. She was a perfect fit. She's fun, bubbly, but she's also super hardworking. She's the CEO of her own company. She's doing it all by herself. She only contracts people to work with her when she has a big project. She writes proposals all the time. She's constantly busy. I don't know how this woman does it, but she does. So she's awesome, and with her I started my original work. So she taught me about endangered species because I told her that I wanted to work with conservation of marine mammals. She taught me about the endangered right whale, which, bless his heart, is only endangered because of his own stupidity. So basically the right whale, when a boat comes by, instead of swimming down deep into the ocean like most animals would do to get away from the boat, it swims up to the source of what's scaring it and gets hit by boats. So poor thing. So he's endangered, and then she taught me about the critically endangered vaquita porpoise. And this is what really caught my attention. I'm in love with the vaquita porpoise. You're about to hear a lot about this little guy, so I'll save some of that for later. Then she also taught me about bomb testing in the ocean by the U.S. Navy and how they train dolphins. So that's interesting, and we'll hear more about that too. So my original work, I decided that I was going to write a scientific proposal to implement the use of biodegradable fishing nets. I got this idea because I know that one of the leading causes of several deaths of marine mammals and other marine species is fishing gear that is abandoned in the ocean. So I thought, that's going to be a hard problem to tackle because there's always going to be fishermen in the ocean. They're always going to have fishing gear, and there's always going to be accidents, and there's always going to be stuff left in the ocean. So the solution to that problem was to have a biodegradable fishing net. So I learned about different fishing methods throughout this whole process. I decided that the biodegradable fishing net should have a D2W additive to it, which would help it break down over the course of 4 years. Now that seems like a very, very, very long time, but it's not that long, and it's a lot shorter than what the typical nylon nets take to break down, which is 30 years. And they're killing millions of species a year, so we're saving millions and millions and millions and billions of species over the course of 26 years. But through this, I also learned a little bit more about the vaquita. And with the vaquita, I found that gill nets abandoned by fishermen are their leading cause of death. And because the vaquita is critically endangered, this is very, very important to note, because if we eliminate these nets, we can save the vaquita. And so that's what took me kind of into more researching about the vaquita during my original work. So it's estimated that around 300,000 marine mammals die every year because of fishing gear. And so irresponsible use can include abandonment, either on purpose or on accident. It can be bycatch, so the fisherman's going to catch one species, but it accidentally catches another, and it can kill that species, or that animal during the process. So there's a lot of ways to responsibly use fishing gear. But what I also had to realize is that fishermen don't earn a lot of money, and biodegradable fishing nets would cost more than a typical nylon net. And there's no way that I'm going to get them to stop using gill nets completely. So that's what kind of took me on when I learned about the gill net being the leading cause of the vaquita decline. So during the original work process, I had a lot of fun, and I came up with a really great proposal. And during our research night at the Star, it was really cool to see how people were drawn to the vaquita. Even though it wasn't my main show, I used several organisms inside the proposal to have examples of why we should have a biodegradable fishing net. But the vaquita drew a lot of people in, and so I kind of grew a love for him, and that's what kind of led me on to my final product. And so for my final product, I decided it was going to be completely vaquita. I was going to learn about the vaquita the whole time, and I was going to write a peer-reviewed report on the current status of the vaquita in the Gulf of Mexico. So to begin my research, I had to outline. Amy said outline, outline, outline. That's going to be the most important thing, know what you want to put on there, slap everything in there, we can make it pretty later. That was the biggest thing. So I learned about the vaquita. So the vaquita has a lifespan of about 20 years. That's super short. The longest known living vaquita is 21 years old, was 21 years old. He died. So that's about their lifespan, and also their reproduction rates are very low like humans. They can have about one offspring a year, but they don't always. So reproduction rates are low, numbers are low, lifespan is low. Everything is not in favor of the vaquita. So then I had to research their potential predators. And so they have typical predators like dolphins do, so sharks, killer whales. And so they have typical predators. It's not a big, huge abundance of other marine species that hunt them. So then I went on to researching their habitat. And what I found when researching their habitat was that the northern Gulf of California, where they live, the only place they live on the entire earth, is super, super, super clean. It's a very small town, Baja California, and then little parts of Mexico surround it. And all of the towns are super small. A lot of the towns are native. And so there's not a whole lot of industry going on. It's mainly fishermen and their families. So we know that there's not a lot of pollution going on around there. The waters are relatively clean. And so we know something's going on. Something's going on to make these creatures critically endangered. So then I went on to their eating habits, and they eat marine fish and squid, which is abundant in the Gulf of California. So there's not a problem there, but they can find food. So then there was the question, why are they declining at such a rapid rate? Well, that's where a little fish called the totuaba comes in. Now, it's not the totuaba's fault necessarily that the vaquita are declining, but fishermen who love to hunt for the totuaba will accidentally get vaquita caught up in bycatch or abandoned gill nets in the northern Gulf of California, which does lead to their decline because they get caught in them and they drown. So why is the totuaba so important? Well, the totuaba's fish bladder, and a fish bladder is basically a little organ inside the fish that helps them stay upright and afloat. That fish bladder goes for tens of thousands of dollars on the Asian market, specifically the Chinese market. And the reason is the juices inside the fish bladder are known to boost testosterone levels. So it's widely used for drugs in the Asian market. Well, on the Asian market, it's legal. They have yet to make it illegal. And it is illegal to hunt the totuaba in the Gulf of California. But fishermen do it anyways because they need money to support their family, and they know that they have a big sum of money coming in if they can catch totuaba and send it over. So the Mexican government hasn't interfered enough. They did put a 2-year gill net ban in the northern Gulf of California from 2015 to 2017. The ban was set to end a couple months ago this year, but the Mexican government did stand strong, and he decided that he was going to extend it. But the thing is, we don't need just another 2-year extension. We need gill nets completely banned. We can see vaquita gone in the next year or two completely. And even with the gill net ban, not all fishermen pay attention and listen. And not all fishermen abide by the rules, because sometimes that tens of thousands of dollars will intrigue them a lot more, and they're not as scared of the repercussions. So during the research, I got some amazing opportunities, and some of these opportunities included FaceTiming and phone calling with NOAA scientists. So if you know of the National Weather Service, then technically you know of NOAA. They oversee it. They're huge. It's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So they have a lot of scientists working with them, and I specifically got vaquita scientists to interview from my mentor, Amy. So my first phone interview was with Tom Jefferson. He was super cool. So he's a NOAA visiting scientist, which means he comes when they contract him and they need him. He is actually pretty young, and he's really cool, and he's worked with the vaquita since 2009. And in 2009 is when he also fell in love with the Vaquita and decided that he would help found Viva Vaquita. And so that's a big website that goes for the, it tries to advocate for the Vaquita and educate people and raises funds for research. So basically, he told me that now numbers, looking this year, there's about 26 Vaquita left in the entire world. And that was super crazy to hear because on our at our research showcase, my numbers that I had were around 50. That means in less than a year, the Vaquita has declined by about 50% in less than a year. And he believes strongly that the Mexican government isn't doing their part, and that if they did step up and do their part, that we could save the Vaquita. So right now he informed me that there is a shrimp ban from shrimp coming in from Mexico. And so basically the idea is, let's pressure their economy enough that we can get the Mexican government's attention and say, hey, we're boycotting your shrimp because you won't do what needs to be done to save this Vaquita. The Mexican government has spoken out on behalf of the Vaquita and trying to save it. So we don't want to bash the Mexican government, but we do want to push them into action. The next interview I had was with Tim Jardet, and this was actually a FaceTime interview, which was really cool because I actually got to see him. He's in San Diego, so pretty far, but I actually got to see his face, and that was cool. We had more of a connection that way, but basically he's been working with the Vaquita for 25 years. That's a super long time, considering that we've only known about the Vaquita for about 50 years. So he's been working with the Vaquita for half the time that we've even known about this species. So there are 3 Vaquita surveys that have ever been done, which is also crazy to me. I think that there should be more, but again, we don't have the funding from all the governments that needs to be done to research the Vaquita. But the 3 full Vaquita surveys, complete Vaquita surveys, have been in 1997, 2008, and 2015, and he has been on all 3 of them. So the most recent one in 2015 is one that I read up on. I read the survey report in complete, and I actually did a research assessment over it. He was one of the co-authors. He's a statistics guy, so basically he does the abundance estimates, and he helps come up with the approximate number of Vaquita that we think are left. So he taught me that there are 2 main ways that we get an abundance estimate of the Vaquita. And so one of those ways is with sight. We go out and try to watch them for months and months and months at a time and count them. So that takes a long time. We have to charter boats. It's a lot of money. It's the best way to do it, probably. But then again, it's hard to tell what Vaquita you've already seen. So a lot of the times they will go and drop acoustic devices into the water that they can leave there for years and collect data the whole time. So we can listen for different sounds that the Vaquita makes and try to make an abundance estimate out of that. And through that, the point estimate in 2015 was 29. 29 Vaquita in 2015. That's a super scary number, considering the fact that once the Vaquita gets down to 5 to 10 left, it's going to be basically extinct. Once there's about 10 Vaquita left, all efforts are pretty much going to stop. Because at that point, we have to let nature take over. There's not a whole lot we can do. When there's only 10 left, you think that you can save them. Maybe we can scoop them all up and put them somewhere. But the reality is, what if they're all males? What if there's only one female and she produces that one offspring a year? They're harder to find when there's less of them. So it's not likely that we would find all 10. It's harder for them to find each other to mate. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to account for. We wouldn't be able to save them at this point. So 29 left. 29 to 10. 19. We need to lose 19 vaquita and all the efforts are going to stop. That's super scary. So basically that's why I'm doing this vaquita report. This is a lot for me to learn about the vaquita and understand the lifestyle and try to get ideas of what I can do moving forward. I know that there's simple things like boycotting the shrimp. I can call government officials and call for more environmental awareness. I can do these things, but I want to do something more. So this report is to send awareness to lots of people. I want to educate people. I want people to fall in love with the vaquita the way I fell in love with the vaquita. Because every species on this earth has intrinsic value. Every species on this earth deserves to live, and especially the vaquita, because the vaquita has done nothing to further its decline. It's completely human impact. So that's why I wrote my report. So my quote is, I also saw that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love which flowed over the ocean of darkness. So this stands out to me. I know that this probably wasn't written for the ocean, it's a metaphor. But it helps me moving forward. I know that in this career, there's gonna be bumps in the road. There's gonna be lots of bumps in the road because I can't do everything. The most important thing to take away, and the most important thing that the vaquita scientists stressed to me was that this isn't just about me. This is about all of you. This is about all of us coming together. I'm standing here telling you about the vaquita because I love it, but this isn't about me. This is totally about the vaquita. This is about educating you and raising awareness. And so I hope that you take something from